originally French. The French had settled Montreal, of course, and they discovered that the Indians were trading furs with. We were at the confluence of three bodies of water. That's Lake Ontario there. Straight ahead is the St. Lawrence, and the left is the Rideau Canal. Okay, so we were at three bodies of water. They discovered. The French, that they were Indians were trading the furs here. So they established a fort here in Kingston, Fort Frontenac. Ultimately, these are Americans, they're British who were here. The British came across, they wiped out the little fort that was here, and then we became a British colony. Ultimately, the Americans took over in 1776 with their revolution. And okay, we'll go on with that later. So they decided to have one capital in Canada. They had three. They had one in Kingston. They had one in Toronto. They had one in Montreal. They decided to get rid of these two and have one capital in Kingston in 1841. So for 3 years, we were the capital of the country. And this is when they built this huge city hall with no people really in Kingston, 7,000 people. They borrowed the money to build a big city hall. It wasn't to be the Parliament building, apparently. They built the city hall in 1841. They put this building up in 1843. Someone said to Queen Elizabeth, or Queen Victoria, "You're too close to the Americans." The British had wiped out the French, and they said, if you leave your capital in Kingston, all the Americans have to do is come across here, wipe out Kingston, there goes your capital, there goes your country, you're finished. So they moved the capital back to Montreal, where they would have British land. Then they ultimately moved along the Ottawa River here to Ottawa, where they have British land. And if there is an attack, instead of cutting the same, because they always had to be prepared for the Americans, they could bring their troops down here along the Ottawa River and down the Rideau Canal, which is just here, and they could get their troops here into the Great Lakes and defend Canada. And so we lost being the capital after 3 years. So we were they had borrowed the money to build this big city hall, and the whole town went bankrupt. So what you're looking at is the result of a big bankruptcy. When the city hall was built, this was open to it's in three parts. There's a wing there, and there is a market at the back. This was open to the elements. The horses used to come up through here and service the market that was at the back there. This was all open to snow and rain, etc., etc. Let's head ahead. In 1973, City Hall was falling down. It had been built in 1841 or 1843, and it was falling down. So the council very wisely put $2 million into it. They repaired all of that stonework, which was actually had been rebuilt in wood at that point, and they named this the Sir John A. Macdonald Room. Now, John Macdonald was the first Prime Minister of Canada, and he came here when he was 6 from Scotland. He became our councillor, he became our member of Parliament, and when we lost being the capital, he went to Ottawa. But he still left his family here. Actually, he was a lawyer, and he had to support a tremendous number of relatives who had arrived from Scotland. I guess they were always bringing people over. So in 1973, they renovated City Hall and named this the Sir John A. Macdonald. How much time do you have?
Until
10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Yeah, 20 minutes at least, yeah. 25 minutes, yeah.
We'll go with it. We have time to go up to the top.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure. What time is it now?
Yeah, it's about noon.
Yeah.
You have to watch your meters, because are you traveling by car?
Yes, we were in there till
1:30.
1-ish, 1:30.
Yeah,
So
they're very particular. They're trying to make money to pay for their new
fourth floor.
turn left and then right when you leave here. Left and then right.
Okay.
Pay for their new
Going back.
arena.
Oh.
They're very particular about this.
The sparking, yeah, we did feed the meter.
Okay, go. Now, there was a lot of pine in Kingston, of course, because we were surrounded by forest. And these railings are all pine. And they were made very wide, they think, because they were fashioned after ships. We had so much shipbuilding here because they defended the Great Lakes. You know, the Royal Military. How much longer are you going to be here in Kingston?
We're actually leaving we're going up to Fort Henry,
Are you?
and then we're probably headed back up to Ottawa.
Are you?
Yeah.
Because the Royal Military, you'll pass the Royal Military College. Do you know what the Royal Military is?
Yes.
We'll head in here. It's our, it was a naval dockyard. It built all the sailing, all the warships for the Great Lakes because they couldn't get their ships down the St. Lawrence River. So the Royal Military College was where they built the warships. And this is, when you look at this picture, this is Fort Henry. That's the Navy Bay where they sunk, after the War of 1812, they sunk a lot of the ships because Britain and the United States agreed after the War of 1812 to only have so many ships or warships on the Great Lakes. So they sunk some of them in here. That's the Royal Military College, which is our training school, say, for officers. It's a university. It teaches from a bachelor's to a PhD. And all our officers have to be bilingual. But you take French or English until you hit this level, even if you pass your engineering degree. And you have to be pretty smart even to get in and get out. And then you still have to go to war.
Yeah.
But you have to pass that bilingual exam. Okay. Now, that's the Rideau Canal, which goes to Ottawa, of course, and that's Kingston. This is the street in Glasgow where Sir John A. Macdonald was born, and then came to Kingston. We had a few fires in City Hall. In the 1800s, we had one, late 1800s, and the clock, which is up there, fell, and the weights, which are here, went right down through and ended up in that room. I'll show you that room if I can get in it in a minute. When we lost being the capital, they rented this city out, anything they could find, and they rented this out to the Mechanics Institute, which was the library. The Mechanics Institutes were the beginnings of the public library systems in Canada and the United States, pretty well. That they loaned books out to their workers. They weren't just mechanics, they were workers because they couldn't afford books. And this is where they started the library in Kingston. And I believe. Go down. I'll leave this open. So did you fly out from Calgary?
Yeah.
Oh, you to Ottawa?
Yeah. No, we flew to Ottawa, Calgary to Ottawa. Our son goes to Carleton University there.
Oh, really? What are you taking?
Geography.
Oh, that's nice. There's a lot of courses in Queens. Geomorphology. I really wanted to go into geology, but I didn't. This is Sir John A. Macdonald's desk, and it's what they call partner's desk. And it's half and half. You see, it stops here. So you could work with your partner or your clerk, whatever. So you could have the same file, and he could pull his out, as you pull it, well, men probably then. And so they're only half and half. It's called a partner's desk. So what year are you in?
I'm going into second year.
Are you? Decided not to go to Calgary.
No.
Oh, it's nice to
I
go.
lived there all my life.
It's
So.
nice to go. Very good idea. And this is where the weights came through. Charging down through there, went down 2 floors. The phone is an original, doesn't work, but it's original. And this is where they have party lines. I'm sure you never heard of party lines.
No.
But it's where you picked up the phone. Oh, Mary, that might be the name of the operator. I'd like to speak to, say, maybe it's Nancy Jones. I'd like to speak to my husband who's over at Harry Smith's farm. And she would say, she knew her. And she'd say, oh, no, he's not there anymore. I heard he's gone. He's gone on to the next one. And it was wonderful. And like, the only little problem with this party line system was everybody could hear.
Yeah.
So when you talked, you'd hear all these other people listening in.
Yeah, yeah, breathing.
That's how you say, please get off the line. This is the weights for the original market. And the picture is gold-free, and it's the Sultan of Dubai, anyway, whose child went to Queen's University, gave this to the city. This is a whale bone, hip bone of a whale, and we are allied with a city in China called I don't know how much use it is. Mianyang. I don't know how much interaction there is with these anymore. Between city and stuff.
So the place in China is the Twin City of Kingston? Yeah.